And we're back. Back with us today is Brian Fetzer, co-founder and president of Iron Faith Nutrition. Thank you so much for joining us again today, Brian.
Jessica, it's always a pleasure. I'm excited to be here.
So we were talking last week about gut health, and I would really love to talk about inflammation. I'm going to let you take it away from here. Yes.
You talk about inflammation, the root cause of almost every disease and every issue that a human has is inflammation. And so much of it is, you know, part of what we eat and how we do not digest or digest foods. I mean, when you start thinking about chronic signs of chronic inflammation, balance problems, dry eyes, blood clotting problems, low energy, brain fog, insulin resistance, poor digestion, skin problems. I mean, it can go on and on and on and on and on. How are we going to fix that? How are we going to make that better? Is is a key issue, and that's one of the things. One of our products, Curcumazine, we've tried to tackle that with different ingredients that really have been known functionally to take care of that problem, the inflammation.
So let's talk a little bit about curcumazine then. What's in it that makes it so special?
What is it? It has bromelain, quercetin, feverfew, and boron with a proprietary blend to help the absorption better.
Oh,
I
the
mean,
boron helps with the absorption better.
we're
Yeah.
talking about roots and herbs that have been used for centuries, thousands plus years, all over the world. And for some reason in America, we haven't really done. Now turmeric has become this, a new quote unquote fad that everybody seems to be, jumping on the bandwagon and doing it. But you've got to put it together properly, and you've got to be able to digest it right. And you got to be able to take it at the right times. I think kind of a fallacy or something that individuals don't do is they'll take some of this. Our product needs to be taken on an empty stomach.
Okay.
That's the way it's going to work the best, going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. When you have it on an empty stomach, it helps with inflammation. You take it during food, it's going to serve a little bit more as a digestive property than it will necessarily um, from a reduction of.
Okay, that's great. And I know that people will say, let's just cook with turmeric, put a little turmeric, but there's no control of dosing. There's no control of how much you're having. And then it's with food as opposed to on an empty stomach. So the absorption is going to be different going from there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you sit and you think about inflammation. Why is somebody's face puffy? Why, why is your ankle swollen? How can you reduce those things? And with what we said, and I know I talked about this last week, it's what you consume on a daily basis. I would love if our company didn't have to exist. I mean, it'd be a great thing because that means people are eating right. They're eating properly. They're getting enough sleep. They're doing everything that they can to have the most healthy body. But unfortunately, the way things are, that's not the case. Most people need supplementation because you're not getting enough in your normal diet to take care of what you need to do, and you're eating the wrong things. Seed oils, highly processed foods. I mean, they're destroying our country literally from the inside out.
Yeah, and as we were saying before, it's that so many of those foods are inflammatory. People don't think of food as inflammatory versus anti-inflammatory. And so but it's very true. Your food is your medicine, right? So you can have those seed oils and you can have things that are inflammatory, and then it just adds to that. And inflammation, as you had said, and I know we talked a little bit about this off camera, this isn't just athletic inflammation like in joint spaces. This is, as you said, the puffy face or rashes or swelling in different ways in different areas.
I mean, we have a number of athletes, professional athletes, college athletes, Olympic athletes that take our curcumazine on a regular basis to help them recover better, essentially, because they're getting the inflammation out of their system. But it doesn't just it's everywhere. I take it, and I stopped competing a long time ago. Um, but I take it on a regular basis for myself, and I can tell, I can feel a difference when I'm not taking it on a regular basis on how puffy I am. I don't look quite as toned. Uh, when I have there's inflammation when you get sick. You up the dosage tremendously when you're sick. You have, you know, bronchial issues with your lungs. We've seen a number of individuals start taking our product during the crazy time we had in 2020, in that time frame, because people were trying to look for different sources that were healthy, that were natural, that could help reduce inflammation, help reduce issues that they might have been having. And so it's done a great thing. But you've got to also look at, the immune system side of things. We have a product called SE Herbal Tea that's a blood and lymphatic system detox it has cat's claw, slippery elm, watercress, turkey rhubarb, burdock root, peach swirl, red clover blossom. I mean, I'm naming off all these incredible herbs that have been around for, again, centuries that help detoxify the body to help get some of the junk that's in your system out.
What I keep hearing over and over again are the natural substances that you are using in your product line. I don't think I've heard of anything that isn't.
Yeah. The way we look at it, we believe that God put things on this earth for us to use to help and to bring us along. So why not use those items to help cleanse your system, to help reduce the inflammation, to help make you a better human being and a healthier human being? Um, I mean, science is great, and I applaud it, but there's a lot of companies that have been around for 100 plus years and never cured anything. What does that say?
Yeah.
Um, that's an issue.
Oh, and it's a different way. I know my mom went on an African safari a number of years back, and one of the things they did is they talked about all of the plants that they saw along the way and all of their uses that they were for health and wellness. And it was remarkable. And she came back, she was so excited because this is the world that I live in, is the world you live in, where we use more natural substances. And we want to make sure, that we're saying to our audience, we're not giving you medical advice. Speak to your provider, of course, if you have any questions. But and you work with some people as well, some providers or some companies that do some testing, and you do have those relationships too.
We do. I mean, we don't pay them, they don't pay us. I know that the Feel Good Lab is one. My wife just did a inflammation test for herself. She had eczema. We're trying to figure out what's causing that. We're trying to figure out. You can't just, hey, this is how it's going to be. Find the reason why. That's probably the coach in me more than anything else. Spent 23 years coaching at the college level, and when you had an issue, you looked into it. You tried experimentation. You tried different ways that you could try to figure out, how do we help this individual get faster, get stronger, how to jump higher, whatever it might have been. And so you got to go to different resources, and you can't just take one source as the all-time, hey, this the only thing you can listen to. You got to do some testing and some trial and error. I mean, that's the best way to come up with the best solution for you, because you also got to keep in mind every single person is different, and what works for me might not work for you. And I know we've talked about that, and I'd be curious to hear your advice on on that situation.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So everybody's an individual, and what we're really talking about is root cause medicine. So why? Asking the question why, not just what is it that we are. What we have eczema. Let's use eczema as an example. And there are things in my head that I think of with eczema when it comes to all people. Once again, not medical advice, but if it were myself with eczema, I would think eczema has a link to dairy significantly, consistently. And so I would say to myself, I think I need to eliminate dairy for a trial to see if that's going to make any difference, right? If there's no access to testing. If there's access to testing, then there are different tests that you can do through a functional medicine provider. I'm Institute for Functional Medicine trained, so ifm.org if people wanted to go there to find a provider, and just want to drop that so that people aren't left hanging out here. But it is the why. why are we there? Excuse me, why are we at that point? So that's exactly it, because we don't want to just trade out supplements for prescriptions. Prescriptions are very much the let me take care of your symptoms and get your labs better, as opposed to the supplements, which are actually going to be hopefully doing this in a more natural way to repair an underlying why. Right? So as we were talking about the anti-inflammation, we need some assistance also along with supplementation, food, nutrition, lifestyle, decreased stress, making sure you get appropriate sleep. You know, as you said, the coach in you, the coach in you, the coach in me.
It's so much more. The way that we think in America right now is let me take a pill and it's going to solve my problem. Or let me do one thing. What can I get done? Because we're so apt to be on our cell phone and we want instant results and advice and everything, that we fail to realize that there's a process and there's a process behind everything. And nothing happens. You've got to do trial and error. You've got to see what works for you. I guess you mentioned dairy is for the eczema. One of the foods that came up with my wife was eggs. She loves eggs, loves eating them every day. Super nutritious, super healthy, but they just don't fit for her. And we're seeing if that's the cause. But it's so right. You got to look at the why.
We do,
That
yeah.
was my question when I was coaching was, why is it happening? And if you don't ever question the why and you just take something for, face value, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle with your nutrition. You're going to struggle with your daily health. It's all parts together. Are you getting enough sleep? Am I eating the right foods? Am I doing something to help me from a health standpoint, getting exercise, fitness? That could be walking. You don't have to go out and lift weights. You don't have to go out tennis or whatever that might be, but do something and be around people that are good people. Surround yourself with a community, a group that can be supportive, that can feed into you, that can be, kind of that inspiration to you, but also can be honest with you.
That's
I,
very important. That's exactly right. I'm right there with you, Brian. Well, Brian, thank you so much for being with us again today. Can you please let us know how people can find you and find Iron Faith Nutrition?
Absolutely. You could use a code now20, go to ironfaithnutrition.com and check it out. Check out all our amazing products. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm on a system called Mimic, through Valuetainment, and you can ask me questions and get a hold of me that way.
Thank you so much, Brian. And you'll be with us again next week?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. All right. Well, and thank you for joining us today on The New Health. We'll see you next week for our next episode.